The stranger gasped for breath. Dark water slipping above their head. The sea didn't care if they sank or swam. Slowly the tides ebbed, washing over old walls. A safe harbor emerging from the inky depths. Ember reached out a hand. The stranger looked down. The ground feels good beneath my feet, friend. The stranger looked down. The ground feels good beneath my feet, friend. The path was blocked. The fox's happy only reply was silence. The ghost said, "You have done all you can, little one. Your journey lies ahead." Little one, your journey ahead will not be easy. The path to leave this place is blocked. I will guide others to follow after you clear the way. There are others like me who can help. You will always be welcome here in the forest. The stranger thought, I feel ready to move on. The ghost said, You have done all you can, little one. Your journey lies ahead. The stranger spoke. My head with tears, the stranger said. I had forgotten, the stranger said. Thank you for being so kind. The stranger said thoughtfully. I felt so alone. I was so lost. Once again, Ember could feel eyes watching. Ember approached the forlorn, but felt it was different. They said, I know what I need to do, what I need to feel. I don't want to be helped. Ember could not help. Not all problems were puzzles to be solved. Ember approached the forlorn. I don't want to be. Ember could not help. Not all problems were puzzles to be solved. Ember uncovered a journal entry. Dusk brings the longest shadows. The lanthorn comforts me. Soft melodies from home. The wild things listen, yellow eyes in graying trees. The guard joked. Another scrawny Ember from the forest, and with a bag looking all nicely and shiny. Both guards started looking at Ember with a deathly stare. The guard leered. The Forest King would like you, little scruff. Yes, come a little closer. Let us see what's in that bag. We guard the door to the Forest King. Oh yes, we decide who gets to see the king. The Forest King will want to see you. Yes, come this way. A feeling of foreboding overcame Ember. Ember was terrified but tried not to show it. The giant bird spoke softly. Another little Ember. Speak, little one. Do not fear. The bird is a friend. Ember wanted to feel safe. Oh, little Ember, birds won't hurt you. Birds will take another under our wing. Stay safe in the nest, you'll never... Ember was still afraid. Is it the night that scares you, little one? See? Night is gone. Birds will make the world less frightening. It wasn't only the night that frightened Ember. The bird was disappointed. Stay? No need to help, silly forlorn. Hope is false. Hope hurts little ones in the end. The Forest King spoke so perhaps they could rest here. It was hard to know what else to say. Clever little Ember. You will stay. You will not turn forlorn. Search for hope no more. Now take this feather. Feather means Ember is one of us now. Birds keep little ones safe. Birds should never leave the nest. The guards seem pleased. Clever, I can hold that bag for. Leave him alone, they're one of us now. Yeah, one of us. And we all shares bags and things. The travelers had disappeared. Their campfire remained. The ashes were still warm. Bear tracks lay in the cinders. The guard squawked. Stand back, don't come any closer. Nothing down there but sadness and go see the Forest King. He'll set you straight. Got your first feather, I see. Best prove yourself. Stand watch here. Promise you won't let anyone pass. Ember didn't like deceiving the birds. But what choice did they have? They couldn't rest in that place forever. They had to keep going. Hidden away was a scrap of journal. There were memories here, bound in rock. I hear their voices echo in the ancient stone. I find footprints by the cinders, a makeshift camp. Ember hurried away from the birds. The mist hung close to Ember. This forlorn was not the same as the others. The Forest King seemed frightened, the birds cruel. Ember would rather risk turning forlorn than become like them. Ahead there would be others to help, and maybe a way to move on. The forlorn whispered softly, I know what I need. I may never be ready. The future is yours, but mine is mine. Ember left the forlorn with their thought. The time wasn't right, perhaps would never be. The traveler seemed distressed. I'm sure it's fine, but it's been a while. It's my fault. Ember found a scrap of journal. I heard them coming. The snap of a twig, a flutter of birds, a figure dashing through the undergrowth. Another like me? The traveler whispered quietly, "No matter where I go, no matter where, always here." It looked like a map, but pieces were missing. The piece formed a new route. Hidden inside was the wanderer's journal. Another face at last, a catcher of fish resting by a pond. We work together, silk and tar and aching fingers. My boat floats once more, though I almost wish to stay. It was the same place as before. But how? An eerie scene, like a moment frozen in time. Inside was a secret diary entry. Pink, orange, red, brown, leaves gently dancing to the ground. Crunch, crackle, lovely sound, fall into a giant mound. The fog was so blinding, Ember was turned around. Gradually more of the map was revealed. The fog was so blinding, Ember was turned around. A section of bridge had somehow been ripped from its foundations. It was like the map had been broken on purpose. The mist revealed a secret place. Was it hidden on purpose? The stranger spoke. You know, part of me didn't want to be found. I said some things I shouldn't have, and now I'm lost. And it's too late. skeleton looked peaceful. Held tightly in its hand was a red feather. The skeleton looked held tightly in its hand was a red feather. The skeleton looked held tightly in its hand was a red. The skeleton looked peaceful. Held tightly in its hand was a red feather. The statue spoke, just as it once moved the hearts of the instrument you now hold has the power to move the world around you. Another before you took great effort to hide it deep within this riddle. The lanthorn began to glow. A lost message was inside. The mist is thick. One way blurs into another. Where do I end? Where does the world begin? I cannot see far enough to tell. The skeleton held tightly in its hand was a red feather. The skeleton held tightly in its hand was a red feather. The skeleton held tightly in its hand was a red feather. The stranger spoke. I said some things, and now I'm lost. But it's too late. Ember found a secret note from the Wanderer. Something beckons. This place is not home. I trace the map in my head, recite the older myths. I have to move on. There was one last place to reach on the map. The fog was so blinding, Ember was turned around. The fog was so blinding, Ember was turned around. The fog was so blinding, Ember was turned around. The fog was so blinding, Ember was turned around. Ember felt a great relief to be out of the mist. The way through was muffled by the fog. Ember was sure they heard a rump. Could that have been a tremendous snow? Ember didn't mind getting muddy. The slide was such fun. A sleeping pig, trotters in the air. They looked happy. The plant looked like it could take a hand off, and it was in Ember's way. The fruit was giving off a sickly sweet smell. Essie, they looked happy. The plan, and it was in Ember's way. Ember chuckled. The dangerous plant was no match for a hungry piggy. A hideous odor filled the air. And suddenly, the reason was obvious. Ember found a lost message. The smell of hot broth and hearty stew wafts across the swamp. By the cook's pot I meet another. They are on their own path, but we promise to meet again. The pig inhaled a giant snort of air. Wait, what's that delicious smell? Ember shuffled nervous. Other embers fed me treats. But then stopped. You feed me now. As the pig chewed, a light grew in its belly. Fruity, fresh, but tastes a lot like mud. But what I want is something with more crunch. The pig would eat anything. Ember just needed to find more. It was junk. Maybe the pig would eat some junk. And with each thing it ate, the light grew even brighter. Surprising. A little sparky. But what I want is something with more crunch. Perhaps if Ember could satisfy the pig, they might be more helpful. The skull was disgusting. Perhaps the pig would like it. This was the last thing Ember could find to offer. Crunchy, embery, not much meat, bit too bony. But what I want is... The pig's stomach made an almighty sound. Ember chuckled with relief at the large creature they had been so afraid of. Inside was a scrap of journal. In the orchard, I meet the stranger from the cook's fire. A stranger no longer. Together we fill their satchel, food and memories for the road ahead. The pig had vanished, but something moved beneath the surface. In a muddy pond, Ember thought the pig looked a lot less imposing. The pig shouted joyously, "The water feels so good! Join me, morsel!" The pig seemed happy, but Ember wasn't getting too close. Why do I consume whatever people put in front of me? I need some true nourishment, but there's none left here. But so much cooler in this muddy pond, I can finally think. Thank you, morsel. Ember thought about the pig. Fed to bursting by others, but without nourishment. Who had the pig been before? Ember wondered. Cheerily, the stranger said, "Don't say much, little friend. Remind me of one of those golems that stood there, mouth open. I like you." The Wanderer's Diary. An ancient throne sits empty. No one remains to guide or protect, but we do not mind. My companion shelters with me now. We cannot help those left behind. Ember came upon another campfire lost in the wilderness. It looked long cold, but ready to be lit. The ghost said, "Speak and I will listen." This is the hollow marsh. Here hope was consumed before it could flourish. You must not lose hope, or you too will turn forlorn. Ember thought of those they loved, those they'd left behind. There are others lost along their journey. Find them and I will guide them. Down steps to your east, travel the path south, watching a pig grow unhappy, a forlorn lost hope. The stranger had come so very far,